Hello, tubies. I got some incense going. Smoke is everywhere. I had to close the balcony door because I don't know what they're doing across the street. I guess they're jackhammering, and it's fucking annoying. It's literally across the street, so I have all the windows closed, but I have incense going, and I need them open because it gets a little smoky in here, a little too smoky, and then neighbors start bitching and complaining, and my fingers are blue because I decided to go and buy a nib, for my, fountain pen. Words. They're extremely difficult today. And apparently the lady was like, changing the nib is super easy, you just pull on it. Lying bitch. That's all I gotta say about that conversation. So I bought a new book, which is this. It's not a book, it's a journal. And I really liked it, and it was like $45, and I think I'm holding it upside down. Yeah, so this is like the proper way to hold it. But it's got like this map design on it, and I don't know, I think it was, I think it's an old map. It's got locations and stuff like that on it. But anyways, like, these are the types of pages, and I really like these types of pages. They're easy to write on with fountain pens, which is what I write in all of my books with. I do plan to talk more in depth about incense in my upcoming live and in stereo video that I plan to do next Friday. But I thought I would go over a little bit of incense and just talk a little bit about how they're used in my craft. And I plan, again, to go more in depth at a later time. So I've got these bottles like this, and I store a lot of incense in them. And I don't know, if I have the recipe in this book, I will, like, give it to you, but I don't know if I do, because not all the time do I write down my incense recipes, which probably is not a good idea. And I can already tell you the one I want to show you I don't have the recipe for, so don't ask me what's in it, because even I don't remember. I know, right? I can tell that there are some roses in here, and there's some resins, but I don't really know. This is my Rose of Jericho closing incense. I burn this when Mary wants me to let the Rose of Jericho close by itself. And I also have the Rose of Jericho blessing incense that gets burned when we do the opening. I believe I also have an opening incense, but this one blesses the space and is an offering to the Rose of Jericho itself, because I believe that the Rose of Jericho contains spirit energy within it. It is a flower that was blessed by Mary herself. When I let it open, I will place coins inside of it to help bring in the money and retain the money that I do have, and help me just make sure that I've always got abundance. So now we've got a Who's Doing Magic Against You incense. This again goes to the whole incense smoke thing, because it'll prevail messages to you in the incense smoke itself. When I burn it, you only need a little bit of it, and it doesn't tell you specifically who. Like, it's not going to tell you Jane down the street is doing magic against you, but it is going to give you indications that there's somebody doing magic against you. It might give you indications of how their relationship with you, how you might know them. This one is patchouli, peppermint, and sandalwood. It's also known as the original 3. So when I started out on my craft when I was 18 and going through the Wicca, the Wiccan phase of things, the reading the Scott Cunningham books and absorbing as much knowledge as I could find, my roommate at the time she would bring home loose leaf herbs. She would bring home peppermint, she would bring home patchouli, and she would bring home sandalwood. And I loved the smell of burning peppermint on a coal. And I loved the smell of patchouli, and I could never, I can't stand the smell of sandalwood on its own on a coal. But one day I decided to mix the three, and it just became a incense that I really love. So there's nothing magical here. It's more of a nostalgic kind of smell that takes you back to your roots, your beginnings, your, you know, like, at least for me, it takes me back to my roots and my beginnings of the craft, which was reading the Scott Cunningham books backwards and forwards and experimenting with herbs and making incense, because that's really where a lot of my craft lies, is in incense and making incense and burning incense, in dealing with incense smoke and manifesting things through incense smoke. So this other incense is a resin-based incense, and I will tell you that if you make a resin-based incense, be careful, because they tend to just stick to themselves, and it can get hard to break them. There we go. It can get hard to break them up. So this is a resin-based spiritual awakening incense, and I know I have this one in this book, or at least I should. Most of the time when I'm making incense, I do record them, and that's why, again, I put them in a separate book, is because I have so many of them. There's a spiritual cleanse incense. I'm sure I wrote this one down. A lot of the times I don't write them down because apparently, here we go. Cleansing and spiritual awakening incense. Osha root, dragon's blood, frankincense, arabic gum resin, palo santo resin, and cascara sagrada bark. Burn a little on a cold disc during ritual or tarot reading, or even spell work that involves the dead in some fashion. You will find that your connection and groundness will be stronger. And the reason for that is because of the dragon's blood, or not the dragon's blood, the frankincense and the palo santo resin, along with the cascara sagrada bark. Everything is just very earthy. Frankincense, I find, is a very grounding resin. It is a common resin used in incense that are in temples or are used as offerings to deities, or just as a general cleansing incense. Now, I do have another box of incense, not one like this, but a big wooden one. And I won't break that one out now, because this video is already long as it is. But if you ever needed to get an answer on something that you wanted to, I don't know, let's say you're trying to buy a house and you want to get an answer to see if your bank loan's going to go through, or if you are struggling with something, like you want to let somebody go but you don't know if that's the right move. You can mix together eyebright, hops, bloodroot, yerba santa, osha root, mugwort, wormwood, dandelion root, rosemary, and dragon's blood, and burn it on a coal and meditate the problem at hand. Then when you go to sleep, you will end up getting visions and dreams of what the appropriate answer might be. Now, it's not going to be black or white. It might be in some weird, strange dream, but you will get an answer. You just have to pay attention. And attraction incense is osha root and patchouli leaves. The Syrian rue incense that I have in here, which was created when Maha Treasure Box gave me some Syrian rue as a gift, and so on and so forth, is sage, boneset, dragon's blood, patchouli, beth root, birch leaves, aspen incense, and Syrian rue. She gave me some aspen incense as well. Got lots of different spells and rituals and potions and incense and oils and tinctures and this and that all over my channel, so check those out, okay? So until next time, my fabulous little creatures, stay educated and also practice your craft and have your experiences and share your opinions, and let's have a conversation down below, okay?